What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Sleeper. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers lose to the Orlando Magic 110-106, a very similar game as last night. Gave up the same amount of points, came back from a massive deficit to take a 1-point lead, and then immediately lost momentum. After that, we're going to break things down. We're going to talk about what was different today, and excited to bring you guys this post-game show. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
What's up, Tori? Yeah, very similar to last night.
Yeah, man. I'm getting sick of the losing, to be honest. I'm getting sick of there's people today like, oh man, this is supposed to be year they tank at the end of the year, and it's like, man, I am just so over things potentially going that way. And there's a couple rough losses, games that were winnable, and games that the Blazers weren't favored in, games that they're obviously missing some guys, but games that, man, if you could put together a stretch like they did in the fourth quarter of both of these games, or a little bit earlier in the game, these are games they probably win. You know, it's I think both a testament and a point of frustration, the runs that this team has gone on the past two nights in the second half, where they're just go on these massive runs. But before that, they don't play well. They get down big at home. And yeah, I'm just tired of losing. So anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good night. Go ahead.
They even it was the same exact time in the third, beginning of the fourth when they went on the run, just like last night, too. Like it was almost exactly the same.
Yeah. Yep. Very similar, but yeah. Hopefully you guys are having a good night. Hopefully you guys are having a good holiday season. This is, of course, our last stream before Christmas. So if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. We'll try and take your questions a little bit more today. I know we haven't really done that much in the past. With the Blazers having 2 days off in a row, we will try and take some questions that you guys have for us about the state of where this team is at right now. We're also going to talk about how Jeremy Grant went from questionable the last two games to no, he doesn't have Achilles soreness. He has Achilles tendonitis. So it seems like it's going the same exact route the Drew Holiday thing went. So I'm frustrated with the injuries. I'm frustrated with that always being a thing for this team, man. No matter what, this team is, it always seems decimated by injuries. It always seems like, it's hard to come on here and really break down where this team is at as a whole because they're never whole. And of course, every team deals with injuries, but man, it's been a rough stretch with these injuries, and Jeremy Grant being the latest one. It was frustrating to see that essentially go from Achilles soreness that they weren't worried about to Achilles tendonitis. I don't even know what that means for how long he's out, but I had kind of a sarcastic, maybe not sarcastic tweet saying, oh, so he went from questionable to out 1 to 2 months just like Drew did. That's kind of how that feels like right now. And yeah, some guys step up and play well in this game. Shout out to Caleb Love for having a good game off the bench. This was Caleb Love's 1 game out of 5, and he was doing it both hitting shots, driving, as well as some defensive plays. He made some really good defensive plays, had 3 blocks in this game. So he stepped up and gave the Blazers a much-needed punch off the bench. Deni Avdija continues to struggle from the field. He's in a bit of a shooting slump. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Shaden Sharp continuing to score the ball at a really high level. 8 for 18 from the field. He had 22 points in only 27 minutes in this game. Do you know why he only played 27 minutes? Because that kind of confused me. He only had 2 fouls. Maybe it was second night of a back-to-back minutes restriction. I mean, I don't know. There's always minutes restrictions, and guys can't play second nights of back-to-backs, and guys get hurt and they're questionable, and then they're out for a month. Like, it's getting frustrating. But I assume that was why he only played 27 minutes tonight, unless you guys have more information. Caleb Love plays 34 minutes tonight and stepped up 7 for 13 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. He had some shots. The bench lineup wasn't the problem today. Yeah, Eric, what stands out from you from this one?
Yeah, I don't think Tiago, I listened to his presser. I don't think he mentioned anything about Sharp's restriction or anything.
Was he asked about him playing 27 minutes?
I don't think he was asked either, but yeah. I mean, you got to assume. I don't know. Oh, he did say something about like having to like do math on the bench.
Yeah.
That's
That
yeah.
would allude to a minutes restriction, but also he's not the one who
Yeah.
should be doing that math. That should be the assistant coaches.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
Um
what stands out
in,
from this one,
in
man?
in terms of this game, I mean, the Blazers end up I mean, I thought the defense was okay again. They ended up not giving up as many offensive rebounds. That's good. Less than half of what they did last night. Um, they turned the ball over two less than they did last night, but still a lot, 17 turnovers. Um, Blazers got out and ran for once, controlled points in the paint. So everything seemed to go their way until you look at the 3-point shooting, and 45% for the Magic, 28% for the Blazers. And I mean, that's 6 more threes on a better percentage. That's in a 4-point game. I think that's the most glaring thing to me.
Yeah, I'll try and pull up the team stats here. This game feels like kind of a carbon copy with turnover issues, with not being able to knock down threes. This team just cannot shoot the ball. And Lamar Hurd kind of said how I've been feeling on the broadcast. Like, this team's ready to be good. And that's truly how I feel. Like, this team is ready to be good, but they can't make jump shots. They are one of the worst shooting teams in the league, and they said the worst jump shooting team if you count mid-range plus threes in the league. Like, they just don't hit jumpers. And I've lamented that so many times on postgame shows. I'm kind of over it, but you guys know what the problem is. This team can't shoot threes. It's a statistical fact. Like, this team is a bad shooting team. But they're in these games despite who they're missing, despite the fact that they can't shoot. And yeah, I guess that's a testament to the guys on the floor, the fact that they're able to remain competitive against a tough team in the Orlando Magic, but also to play devil's advocate to that point. They were without Franz Wagner. This is a team that lost by 23 last night to the Golden State Warriors, who the Blazers have beaten 3 times. So, it's not necessarily a great team. They're kind of like a middle of the pack in the NBA team. This is the type of game when they're missing, in my opinion, their best player in Franz Wagner. This is the type of game you want to try and figure out a way to win, but this team just been digging themselves too much of a hole, doing a great job to fight back. But just like last game, just like last night, they come all the way back, they get a 1-point lead, and then they immediately lose it, and they're immediately down like 5. And it's basically, they can't recover. And it was super frustrating to see the same exact thing happen once again tonight, where I don't know if it's like, oh, they are playing super hard, they get up 1, and they take their foot off the gas a little bit because they've made it back. Maybe there's something to that. I have no idea. But it's just frustrating to have these awesome comebacks and then not find a way to get these wins.
Yeah, people in chat are mentioning Suggs out too.
Yeah. That's their best defensive player.
Yeah, I think he's missed both games against us, right?
Yeah. But, the 2 games against Detroit and Orlando are haunting me bad. But all of them were close, and all of them the Blazers just can't find a way to win.
Yep. Yeah, just this is the problem, I guess, when you have the injuries. It's really hard to execute down in like a clutch game normally if you have a good team. It just magnifies some of the problems when you have no spacing and you have to play guys who should not be out there with like 3 minutes left in a close game. We have to have I mean, like, maybe you make a sacrifice or make a decision to play someone who's had a good game like Caleb Love tonight, but you're playing Chris Murray and City Sissoko and players like that stretch minutes. And so I don't know if I can really blame them for having a tough time scoring. But it does seem like they are also shooting themselves in the foot. Sharp gets the line, has a chance to make or tie the game, which might have made this a lot different. Misses a free throw. Just like last night, we had the missed free throws. Just it just seems to be like I don't know. They just can't get out of their own way sometimes as well.
Yep. Yep. And unfortunately, like Deni not being the most efficient player the last 6 games or so is not helping. Like he has to play like a borderline superstar for this team essentially offensively right now, because he still had a fine game, 25 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, was just 10 for 25 from the field. Would like to make a couple more shots there, make it a more efficient night, but he's still doing multiple things on the floor. He's still setting up teammates, even though he doesn't have teammates to make shots. And he hit 3 middies in this game. There's a lot of people that have been saying that he can't do that. The Deni discourse. Maybe I'll get into it a little bit later on the stream. The Deni discourse is super, super annoying lately. But he and Sharp are kind of the only guys right now, and you just have to hope that somebody else steps up. Klingon the last 3 games was really good offensively too, so I don't want to exclude him. But today only takes 8 shots, has 8 points in 34 minutes. He's obviously more of a defensive minded guy, but you're just hoping every single night, like, can City Sissoko have a good game? Can Caleb Love have a good game? Can Ryan Rupert do something? He made a field goal today. Could Toumani Camara not completely crap the bed? I kind of want to start there. Toumani Camara continues to not play well enough for this basketball team. Now, he did have 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 turnovers. Like, okay. But it's really just the shooting. To his testament, 40 minutes played, he didn't foul. So we have been talking a lot about how he's fouling out. Like, okay, clean that up. But the offense is just a legitimate problem for this team right now. He's 0 for 6 from 3. In this game, he was 4 for 12 from the field. He was a minus 14 in 40 minutes, which means in the 8 minutes without him, the Blazers won those minutes by 10 points. When he was off the floor, like, he's just not consistently reliable on offense right now, and that wasn't supposed to be the case. Like, it was super exciting last year because he was great. He was elite defensively. But then also he wasn't an issue offensively. He knocked down threes. He didn't have a lot of turnovers, 1.4 turnovers per game. This year he's up to 2.1. So he was just so solid. And right now it just doesn't feel that way with some of the shooting slumps he's gone on. It kind of felt like he broke out of that slump until the past couple of games. And, I mean, he's still shooting, I think this is before this game, but he was shooting 39% from 3 on the month. But it just feels very volatile. Like, it doesn't feel consistent.
That's going to drop with 0 for 6.
Yeah, 0 for 6. He had a 2 for 11 game at the end of November, right? 3 for 10. Like, he has these games where he's shooting a ton of threes, even if he's cold. And it just feels like there's these games where he'll miss a couple threes, so teams will start kind of leaving him a little bit open, and then he's still taking open threes and missing, and it just kind of avalanches, and that's what it felt like in this game. He had the it's just, I don't know if I want him to stop shooting open threes. Like, if he's 0 for 6 from 3 on open threes, is that a shot selection problem? He's supposed to be a guy that knocks down open threes. I just don't really know what to do with him right now. What were your thoughts on his play?
Yeah, I found myself frustrated once again with him. I mean, it's not even necessarily his fault because he's not the type of guy who can carry a team like we've seen Deni do and like we've seen Sharp do at times. But, like, I don't know. We really need him to not have crappy games, and it just seems like he's having way too many bad games when we just need something out of him, and it's really hurting our chances to win, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, like, if he can't be a reliable shooter, this team is in a really bad spot shooting wise. Because
he's like one of your guys who's supposed to be like maybe not as good as Grant, but at least respectable enough out there to keep some defenses honest. If he's not, like, I don't know why you guard him very closely right now. I just keep packing the paint on Deni and Shea.
I mean, I'd guard him closely because when he puts the ball on the floor, it's not the prettiest.
That's true.
You know, it hasn't been the prettiest lately. But basically, when he has a night shooting the ball like this, I feel like every night, especially without Jeremy Grant, the Blazers need somebody a little bit unexpected to make threes. Right? When Toumani is 0 for 6 from 3, the Blazers need 2 unexpected guys to make threes. You know what I mean? Like, this game, it was Caleb Love was 3 for 8 from 3. Right? And Chris Murray was 1 for 2. So if you want to lump those guys together, that's 4 for 9. All right? Like, Sissoko was also 1 for 2, so that's 5 for 11. Like, those guys weren't the problem shooting the threes. Those guys weren't the problem shooting-wise. It was Sharp, 2 for 7. Deni, 2 for 6. Toumani, 0 for 6. But it just feels like when, it just feels like when Toumani has shooting games like this, the Blazers just can't overcome it. And it's a problem. And he needs to be a little bit more consistent at shooting the ball.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's like I said, it's not even necessarily his fault. It's just, if he goes 2 for 6 tonight, which is not asking too much, like we probably win this game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I want a little bit more out of him. He played 40 minutes today. He had 10 points. Like, that's not good. He's 4 for 12 from the field. He's 0 for 6 from 3.
Especially with the available guys.
Yeah, he needs to be more of a scorer.
What did you think of that flop foul call, though?
I don't know, man. I hate the flop thing because they don't do it consistently.
Why can't you review it? That's stupid, too.
That's
you should
also
be able
stupid.
To challenge it. Yeah.
But they just don't enforce it consistently.
Yeah.
Does he flop? Yes. Like, he flops. He tries to sell calls. Maybe a little bit too much. Like, there's a difference between trying to fight through a screen and you get bumped so you fall. Like, you get legitimately bumped and you fall, compared to, like, oh, guy's stationary, I'm going to, like, run into him and then I'm going to flail myself and fall. You know what I mean? Like, I think he tries to do a little bit too much. And this kind of goes to the whole team, man. They complain on plays where there's obviously not a foul, and it's starting to drive me a little bit crazy. Like, I love Klingon. I raved about him last game, but that block by Bane that Klingon's, like, steps towards the ref, like, almost gets a technical, that was a clean block, man. That was not a foul. I don't know where he thought he got hit, but, like, it just feels like the Blazers expect to get every single call, and you're not going to get every single call. And, Deni has this issue. I think he's not letting it affect him as much, like running back on D the past couple of games. It was definitely an issue.
Was a problem a couple of times tonight. Not a ton, but yeah.
Yeah, but, like, there's just plays where he, like, will drive into guys, but guys will kind of be backing up and they don't give him the call. It's like, okay, dude, you do get that whistle a lot. You do get the benefit of the doubt a lot. And I think the discourse about him shooting as many free throws as he does is super freaking annoying, because I legitimately will have people say, oh, he just halfback dives. He just tries to run towards the rim and the defense at 100 miles an hour. It's like, okay, so you just discovered what driving the ball to the rim is? Like, he drives to the rim, correct. That's a basketball play.
He's driving hard.
Yeah, he drives too hard. What are we talking about? Oh, the rip-through move that he scores on a lot. Like, he had that move and got to the rim and got a finger roll at the rim today. Late in this game. I think he missed it, but, that's a scoring move. A low kill dribble and a rip-through is a legitimate scoring move, and he scores off it enough, right? Like, as a defender, you don't have to reach. He punishes guys for reaching on that move, but it's also a scoring move. Like, okay, so the discourse around him just is driving me absolutely insane right now. To be honest, there's so many bad Deni takes out there in regards to the fouls that he's drawing. I think a lot of them are legitimate, but I do think there's times where he's complaining a little bit too much. I do think there's times where he needs to just let it go and not let it bother him. And it feels like this team as a whole is starting to, it's just honestly Klingon and Deni. There's really nobody else that really sticks out to me. Those two guys complain a lot, and I don't even blame Klingon because he does not get a friendly whistle at all. So I understand it, but on plays where you don't get fouled, man, like stop freaking out about it. You know,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you are like faking. I forgot what game that was, but remember when like a player pump fakes and the person jumps up and the defender jumps and then they like create all the contact and like it wouldn't have hit him if you didn't come into him in an unnatural basketball play.
Yeah.
Like I don't like those kind of fouls. I was happy when they said they were going to take those kind of fouls out of the game a couple years ago, and then they enforced it for a couple weeks and then stopped. But all the other fouls like SGA, Denny, like I have no issue with those guys. Whatever you want to call it, foul baiting or whatever. Like they're obviously looking to get fouls, but I mean, it is a skill. Getting to the line is a skill, and it's a
Yep.
really useful skill.
Yep.
And I think it is kind of selling these players short to just dismiss it as some sort of like gimmick or some sort of fake basketball play or something. I do think it takes you have to be able to draw the fouls, and I think, I mean, yeah, I get you don't want to watch a game like the Blazers have had a couple games this year where both teams shoot like 40 free throws and it's freaking ridiculous, and the game takes forever, and all it is a free throw shooting contest, and that gets kind of boring. But I don't blame the players for drawing fouls, like or the stars for getting to the foul line. I just think that's more of a byproduct of the game itself. So yeah, I don't like how people just dismiss a really good player, a really good performance because he shot a bunch of free throws. Like tonight, he only shoots 4 free throws, and you could make the argument that maybe he was trying to play for the foul a little too much, and maybe that is causing him to miss a lot of shots. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like just anytime someone has a good performance, if they shoot a bunch of free throws, it's like, oh, he was just foul baiting or whatever.
It's people that don't even watch the game that have an issue with it. Like, what if a dude drives 9 times, gets fouled 9 times, and gets 18 free throws because of that? Literally, the reaction if Deni does that and gets fouled hard 9 times is, oh, look, he shot 18 free throws. He's so unethical. You know, he's such a tough watch, blah, 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 blah. Like, dude, the discourse is freaking ridiculous to me. Yes, I think there's times where he's trying to draw the foul a little bit too much, but I don't blame players for foul baiting. The thing that drives me crazy, and I don't even blame players for this, is like the flopping. You leaned into a guy, there was basically no contact, and then you throw yourself to the floor. Like, that's the stuff I hate. And if I see Deni do that, I'll be like, dude, you know. But also, I don't blame SGA for doing what he does. I think he flops like crazy. But I don't blame him for it. I blame the refs for rewarding for it, and it just drives me crazy. Yeah. And yeah, I'll give SGA crap for it, but these guys are professional athletes. They're going to look for any competitive edge that they can get. That's their job. Their job is to try and win basketball games by any means necessary. And if that means you're killing the ball low and doing a rip-through move on the way to the hoop, which is a move that he scores on, but you're also trying to draw that foul, trying to get an and one, like, I can't blame him for that. That's a smart play. Like, you're trying to get an and one. You're trying to win games. And it's so ridiculous how a lot of the discourse has turned into like hatred for guys or just downplaying other aspects of players' games because they're trying to get that competitive edge. They're trying to do what it takes to win. So blame the refs. Listen, I blame the refs all the time. I hate some of the stuff that's called. And I think it's nice to have somebody that gets those calls on our team. It's nice to have a Blazer get these calls because I've seen other guys get these calls all the time where they're driving and yeah, they're initiating some of the contact, but the NBA calls it. I would rather the NBA be more lenient and referee it like it's refereed in the playoffs, and maybe Deni would struggle a little bit more because he wouldn't be getting these calls in the playoffs. That's kind of why I want him to, drive, create contact, but do it to score. Because he's still going to get fouled. The way he drives, how fast he is, how strong he drives. He's still going to get to the free throw line a lot. But drive to score. Don't drive just to completely seek out contact and that sort of thing. And I feel like a little bit lately, maybe he's doing a little bit too much of that. I understand it, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
See, I don't like the stand still rip through, which Deni doesn't do. I like the Kevin Durant, I guess it should be referred to.
Because it's not a scoring move.
Yeah, it's just like I shouldn't be penalized just for having my hand out. Now, if I'm pushing you or something, that's different. But if I just have my hand out and you rip your arms through my hand, that's not a foul, in my opinion. However, if you are driving, the rip through move is a change of direction. So if he grabs you or sticks his hand on you while you're trying to go around him, and that is a foul in my opinion. Yeah. I freaking hate when refs don't call that crap. Like even in rec, like when you cross someone over, you don't even have to rip through. You just go by someone and they just armbar you and use their body to like keep you from going around them, and that sucks. that isn't called. So I'm glad he does get that call sometimes because it is a move towards the basket and the defender is grabbing him or sticking out his arm. And if they have a problem with it, they should stop using their hands to try and stop that rip through move.
Yeah, fully agree. So like that whole discourse has been kind of driving me crazy lately. It's not really even anything to do with this particular game. Sometimes I'll come on here and vent about just basketball discourse online because it's quite ridiculous. And lately with the Deni stuff, it's like we want a star. We want somebody that can play at a star caliber level, and we finally have that guy. And for a lot of people, they have their reasons for disliking him. I will never go into that stuff ever. Okay. They have their reasons for disliking him, but then they make it about basketball. It's like, man, I just want to talk hoops. And we finally have this dude, 25, 7, and 6. Yeah, he needs to still improve things. But, man, if he improves things, how good is he going to be? Is he going to be a 30-point-per-game scorer? But there's a lot of people, he's not a true number one. It's not good enough. The Blazers haven't had a star since Dame left, and that was one of the questions of this rebuild. Now we have somebody that's playing like a star, and there's a lot of people where it's just like, not a true number one, not good enough, and then he starts having these games where he struggles, and it's immediately like criticizing his efficiency when he's been super efficient all freaking year. So yeah, he's having a little bit of a shooting slump right now, and yeah, it sucks because if he was shooting if he was shooting the ball better, we might have won last game. We might have won this game. But also because of how good he's been, it's the reason why we're not 6-24. It's the reason we're sitting here at 12-18. We can still talk about chasing a play-in spot, maybe chasing an 8 seed, because of how great this guy has been. So, he missed a couple shots late. I think the last mid-range shot he took wasn't really his shot. It was too deep. And then the 3 he took, I didn't like that shot. Now I feel like Tiago said if you could catch the ball and rise up from 3, take it. Because they're going to try and foul. They're going to play that game up 3. They're going to foul, try and send you to the line, play that game. And we can't make clutch free throws. So being able to get a 3 off, I guess, was good. But also, that's not a shot that Deni, I would expect him to hit running to his right, having to square up in the air at full speed. So it was such a tough shot. I don't like the play design and that decision. But yeah,
Tiago did say in the post game that they were worried about them fouling in that situation. So he did say if you can get the 3 off, shoot it. And so
I would like their odds if they foul, because we've done a good job getting offensive rebounds on free throws. I would like the Blazers' odds more if they foul to make us shoot 2 free throws than Deni trying to hit that shot.
Well, we also had a timeout still, so we could have gone for a quick 2 like we did with the Jeremy Grant lob in Orlando.
Yeah.
And then
we have Shea.
Yeah.
But like, if there's 3 seconds left on the game clock, I understand it. I have no complaints. You got to get a 3 up in 3 seconds. Try not to get fouled. But with 11 left and you have a timeout, that was a little too early to sell out for that shot. But I can't blame Deni. At first, it's like, Deni, man, what are you doing? But I can't blame Deni if that's what he was instructed to do.
You are missing the point or the main takeaway from that play, though, Tori.
What's that?
Can you guess?
Oh, another guy just running to the ball, and that's our inbounds play on the sideline?
Well, that, yeah, but at least we got the ball inbound.
True.
So, hey,
True.
Good job, Portland.
God, man.
It only took, 20-some games, but they got...
It almost would have been better if we struggled to inbound it.
I know.
Because then we would have probably ended up playing the foul game, which I think would have been a better decision at that point in time. So they can inbound it when it backfires.
Baby steps, though. We figure out how to pass the ball inbounds. Now we got to figure out how to execute once we pass it.
Yeah. But just to kind of sum up my thoughts on Deni and kind of his game, man. He's having a slump, but I don't expect him to be crazy efficient, 25-7 and 6.5 all season long. Okay. He's going to have a stretch where he struggles to shoot, and also he's done so much to carry this offense. He's never had to carry an offense like this throughout a season. Maybe he's wearing down a little bit. The thing is he's produced all season long. So, yeah, a slump sucks, but he's still passing the ball at a really high level lately. He's still rebounding the ball at a really high level lately. Some of his games aren't even that inefficient because he's getting to the free throw line so much. So if this is what a Deni slump looks like, I'm completely fine with it.
I think this is more so than anything else where injuries start to hurt is that, it's taken its toll on him having to carry this team without so many key guys. And if you had those guys back, or even a couple of them, that it just alleviates so much pressure having to drive, 10 more times a game versus, not having to do that when you have a Jeremy Grant who can take a little bit of that off your plate. So if for sure at some point is going to take its toll if we just continue to have to rely on him to do this every game.
Yeah. And I mean, you see how packed the paint is every time he drives, man. The spacing is horrible. It's horrific. If they get Drew back at some point, get Scoop back at some point, take a little bit of the playmaking responsibilities off of him, but also just give him 2 guys that'll space the floor, I think he can put up the same numbers, but just have an easier time doing so, because he isn't driving into his packed of a paint and isn't solely responsible at times for generating all of the offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just having an extra ball handler would help in that regard.
Yep.
I do wish he'd cut down on the complaining though.
Yeah.
It's like every play. At some point, I mean, tonight I guess you could complain because you only get to the line 4 times, but you shoot 15 free throws last game and you're still complaining on every play. Yes, there might be contact on every play, but you're not going to get the call every freaking time. So so is that do you think that's on the coaching staff to get on him about that? Yes. Or do you think that's just Deni's got to do a better job of that personally?
I mean, I think that's something for the coaching staff to address with them. Like,
Well, it's starting to bleed into other players too. Like you mentioned,
yeah,
Donovan's doing it now too. Shea's been visibly upset a few times. No one else really should ever
yeah.
have a play where no one else is good enough to warrant complaining to the refs, in my opinion. But
I just feel like the mental state of this team is a little weird right now, which I guess shouldn't be surprising given all the players they have out. But like the complaining and then the stretches where they just look completely dead and then they flip a switch and look like the best team in the league the last couple nights, the runs they've gone on where they're playing with all this momentum. But then like some other guys just like miss a three and it seems like it's shaking their confidence, and it just feels like the mentality of this team collectively is kind of a little all over the place. To me, it's on the coaching staff to kind of rein that in and do something about that. I think there's just a lot of stretches so far this season where it seems like they lose a bit of focus, whether that's on defense, whether that's, missing shots. You're always going to have stretches where you struggle, but this team feels a little bit more prone to like losing focus or having these bad stretches. And then when they lock in, they look great.
Did you see a tweet today about is like percentage of turnovers that are live ball versus regular? Yeah. That's also like really hurting us. And then the complaints on top of that, and also we miss a lot of shots hard off the rim, clank a lot of threes. Obviously, we're not a good 3-point shooting team, so a lot of these rebounds are long, and if you're complaining or not getting back on defense quick enough, that really hurts our ability to get back and defend, and it's really hurting our defensive rating, I think. Yep. But for those that didn't see it, so this was All NBA Podcast had a graph today that showed on one side it was percentage of turnovers that are live ball turnovers, which means like it's on the court of play, and those are very costly because it gives the other team usually a running start, or you usually have a tough time getting back on defense fully and setting up. So obviously we know the Blazers are leading the league in turnovers per game, and now it's over 60. It's 64% of their turnovers are live ball turnovers, and that's easily number one as well.
Yeah. So
not good.
So obviously, like, not having a point guard on the floor is going to contribute to this, but I also think another thing that's contributing to this is the fact that our offense places a lot of emphasis on the dribble drive and kick-out pass. But this team has awful spacing, so there's a ton of offensive possessions that require somebody to dribble drive into a bunch of traffic. I think you see Sharp like try and beat one guy off the dribble, somebody else digs, he loses the ball, right? Mm-hmm. There's times where he'll try and split guys and lose the ball because I guess he doesn't want to make the next pass when it's like Chris Murray's the next pass. Like there's times where I feel like he doesn't trust certain shooters and he'll just try and split it because he feels like he kind of needs to put it on himself to go get buckets at times, which is correct. Like he does, because there's not enough shooting on this team. So when you have a system that places a lot of emphasis on driving into a packed paint, you're going to turn over the ball a lot because you're basically trying to throw these kick-out passes through guys. And even these dump-off passes, sometimes they'll seem like they have an interior pass to Klingon, but you just have defense collapsing down from the perimeter on him. So they'll get a hand on the ball. You know what I mean? Like, there is some sloppiness, too. So it's a combination of multiple things. It's a combination of the lack of point guards. It's a combination of, at times, guys just being a little too sloppy. You know, Toumani's not the most skilled player, but he'll try and drive and have some rough moments. But like that's also kind of something that goes into the offense. Like everybody's supposed to be able to drive, and you don't have enough spacing, and you're driving into a packed defense right now. And this offense is kind of weird to me because it's like they have been a league average offense and adjusted offensive rating, but that's basically mainly due to free throw rate, which I guess you can say is a byproduct of the offense. You're driving all the time. You get into the line a lot. But also offensive rebounding, which isn't a byproduct of the system. The shooting numbers aren't particularly good, so this system, at least with this collection of players, which is not the best shooting team, as I've said, isn't really generating good, clean shots. But I think the biggest problem is the live ball turnovers going the other way is a legitimate issue right now. And I think that it's really hard even for good defenses to defend against numbers advantages in transition, or even, 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s. That's a lot of space to play in coming downhill in transition. So the Blazers need better shooting. Not only would it help to make a couple more threes per game, but also just spacing things out more, I think would make it easier for guys to drive. I think would make it so that you don't see as many turnovers where guys are driving into a crowd trying to make something happen.
Yep. And I mean, geez, there's no way we could have predicted that this would happen if that was our offense in the preseason, right? Or before the season even started. Like that's the frustrating part to me, Tori, is like we all knew how the offense had to be better at moving, and they said all the right things this summer about how it wasn't going to be stagnant or whatever. And they have cut a few times, and it's worked almost every time they cut. Like they get something positive going. And that also adds to my frustration is like you watch them actually cut and run some actions that they said they were going to run, and it looks nice. And you have some players that like Klingon that are showing some passing abilities. Hansen threw a pass to Caleb Love on a cut tonight. And like, we have some players that can pass the ball. Remember when we had that argument with a certain someone about how you have to have a Draymond Green level passer to be able to run a set on offense or something? Those, it's just not the case. Like we have guys who can make a pass to the open cutter. And I don't understand why that's not being like hammered home as a point. Like we got to cut. We're not making threes at a very good rate. Once again, we shoot sub 30% again tonight. Like at what point is it quit spotting up in the corner and let's start moving guys off ball more towards the hoop?
Yeah, I agree. It's not, you can find shooters on two ways. So I had an argument with somebody, like they basically said good consistent shooters don't normally consistently take unguaranteed deals. But we were talking about like Repair and Chris Murray, who were on guaranteed deals anyway, so I didn't really understand the point. But I gave a list of like two-way guys in the past 3 years that ended up being elite shooters, Sam Hauser, Pat Spencer, Cam Spencer, AJ Green, Keon Ellis, Ryan Rollins was on a two-way. There's like 3 or 4 other names just off the top of my head. And it was just like, all right, there's a lot of these guys. And then the conversation immediately went to, well, they would have to want to sign here.
Yeah.
They would have to want to come here for the Blazers to get him. So it's like, okay, now Cronin is completely powerless to address this lack of shooting because the guy that once talked about winning free agent battles can't win free agent battles for undrafted free agents to sign them on two ways. I mean, never mind the fact that we could have drafted Cam Spencer with the 52nd pick, but then we traded to Golden State, who then selected a center that's in the rotation who can shoot and Quentin Post. Like, it's just insane, right? But there's just people out there that will find an excuse for literally everything and find a way to criticize absolutely nothing. Like, there's nothing this organization could actually be doing better. Everything is a byproduct of circumstance. The fact that we knew the shooting was going to be a problem going into this season, and they did nothing to address it. Like, Cronin's front office has repeatedly drafted questionable at best shooters instead of guys that they know can shoot. That's consistently been a thing. I mean, even the Scoot pick, Scoot had questions shooting the three ball, but he was like the obvious pick, and the two guys behind him were a Men and Asar Thompson, all right? I guess like Sharp, idealistically, coming into the league, like, okay, he's going to be a good three-point shooter was the thought. But you look at Young Hansen over other bigs that can shoot the ball better than him. You look at Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert over guys that can shoot the ball better than them. You look at trading the 52nd pick when there was good shooters on the board in the 2024 NBA draft that could have addressed a need going forward. Like, there's been a lot of moments where the Blazers could address this need just with simply drafting a shooter, and they don't do it. And then there's plenty of opportunities via trade or free agency that the Blazers also have failed the past couple of years to address their lack of shooting. It's something that needs to change. If this doesn't change in the next year, man, I think there's no excuse for it now, but I don't know how you can excuse the front office for this lack of shooting. And then if they still don't go another year without fixing it, how it doesn't become a criticism. Yes, Dame coming back will help, but man, get some guys at the end of the roster. Like, Chris Murray is not developing well enough. Ryan Repair is not developing well enough. Duop Reith, I'd rather just play Young Hansen right now. Duop Reith's supposed to be a shooter, but his shooting has been rough the past few games. Like, go find some consistent shooters. Go find the next Pat Spencer, Cam Spencer. Duncan Robinson was on a two-way once. AJ Green, Sam Hauser. Like, just go find somebody that pours it in from the outside and defenses are scared to leave so you can have some more space to operate this offense, because it's just a little clunky right now, and it's tough on Deni, it's tough on Shea to do what they do best on a floor that does not have proper spacing.
Well, going back to what you were saying at the beginning of this, and that's that, well, Portland can't sign those guys or whatever. If you were an elite shooter and you saw the situation here right now, that should be an easy sell, right? Like, let's just say, a few years ago when Philly cut Isaiah Joe, and he could have we had the ability to claim him off waivers if we wanted to. He was out there for any team. He was on a minimum contract, so any team could have claimed him. That was before the new apron rules and all that kind of stuff. Like, you tell that guy, look, dude, you're gonna get so many opportunities here. Like, we are so desperate for a shooter. Like, this is the spot for you. And if you can't convince a shooter to come here with, like, almost guaranteed how many 3-point shots you're going to get, and like how you're going to be able to space the floor and get minutes if you're hitting your shots, then that's just a complete failure. So like, that can't be the excuse. It just can't be.
Oh, but it is.
Yeah, I know.
But it is.
Like, if you were a shooter, wouldn't you like be like, oh wow, that'd be a great situation for me to go, and they have no shooting?
Yeah,
like,
I fill an area of need that this team is desperate for. Yeah, it should be easy to. And also, we're talking about two-way guys. We're talking about guys you could have drafted at the end of the draft. Like,
yeah,
find a way to address it, man. I'm tired of the excuses for the lack of shooting. I don't think they're really all that valid. But at some point, it's like, what? At what point are we going to have a season where we're not just sitting here making a bunch of excuses, even if they're valid excuses, right? Because the injuries are a very valid excuse. They're a very valid reason for this team not being better, not being maybe 500. But, like, we don't know how good they'd be if they were healthy, right? That's all hypothetical. And it just feels like the past few years, everything is always hypothetical. Like, this team could be good if they do this and if they address this need. And if they have a healthy season and blah, 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 like, and hypothetically, hopefully Sharp can be a star and Scoot can be a star, and it's a bunch of hypotheticals. And that's why, like, I'm just kind of tired of how every season feels like it goes down the road where there's just a legitimate excuse for them not being good, or players not turning the corner, players not developing. Like, at what point is there going to be a season where things just happen, things just fall into place? Is it going to be next year?
When a coach doesn't get arrested, Tori.
Yeah. I mean, that's also a valid excuse. So, my point isn't even about necessarily, like, that these excuses are bad or not real things. It's just more so like, all right, when can we just have a normal freaking season then?
Well, at some point, you have to grow up and be like, okay, we have all these things going against us. We either need to stop making that be an excuse or just give up then, because like, you know what I mean? Like,
sometimes it's felt like, why do we even play these games without point guards? We have no chance, because that's the way people portray it. And I don't like that mindset, man. When you're losing, you're still competitive. Like, I think this team has good pieces on it, and you've had some of these unheralded guys step up and have good games. Caleb Love once in a while. City Sissoko's had some good games, right? So you have some under-the-radar guys that at times have stepped up and given you a boost, but then you got Toumani Camara going 0 for 6 from 3, and you've had some really bad defensive games against some bad teams where you're giving up way too many points. And the shooting is still an issue where if it was addressed, that could be swinging the difference in these games. So I'm not just going to sit here and say no point guards 10,000 times for 2 hours on the post-game show. Like, yeah, it's a thing, but I'm tired of everything is always an excuse for why they can't do this or can't do that, or why they're losing games. Even if it's valid, like, I just want a season that's freaking normal as a fan. I just want a season where things go the right way, where we're not sitting here having to make all these excuses for injuries and this and that. But the thing is, even if this team was healthy and they were losing some games, then it would be excuses about, like, the coach. Maybe they don't have Chauncey. Even if Chauncey was still here and they were losing games, then the excuse might be, oh, Chauncey's not a good enough coach. Like, there's always something you can look at losing and just with a broad brush say, this is the main problem with the team right now. It's why everything bad is happening. But I just want this team to start kind of figuring out some of the details of how they want to play well. The defense has regressed this year. The offensive rebounding, or the defensive rebounding continues to be a massive issue. So there's things to still get better at, even with the situation that they're in. And I just want to see progress there, man, even if it's losing games. But I'm kind of just speaking from the heart, transparently. I'm tired of every season there being excuses or losing games like this. It's kind of wearing on me at this point. You're muted, by the way.
Had a kid walking through the background that wasn't dressed properly, so I had to
Yikes.
cover the camera for a second.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, Eric, but I'm getting exhausted of the, like, people were talking about tanking today. I don't want to tank again. I understand that, yeah, it might be the best thing for the organization long term, but it's just like, when are we going to stop, man? I'm tired of it.
Well, like, it's dumb because we win 3 games and then no one's talking about tanking, and then we lose a game or 2 and then everyone's like, oh, we got to tank. It's a mediocre team. It's going to have ups and downs. That they can hopefully take that next step eventually, but this team isn't trying to lose games. I don't know if you, speaking of tanking, I don't know if you saw the league's like toying with the idea of having some,
which is stupid,
penalties.
So stupid. Yeah. The only thing that I think might be legitimate is, like, if you get the number 1 pick, you can't pick top 4 the following year. Like the Spurs, especially the lower you are, if you get like a top 4 pick, if you're 8 or lower, 7 or lower, then you shouldn't get a top 4 pick the following year. Like, the Spurs did not need Wembanyama and Castle and Dylan Harper. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing. But
I wonder how that would work with like trades. Like we have the Bucks pick. Let's say we got the number 1 pick in 2027, and then the Bucks sucked in 2028. That would kind of suck if we didn't get their pick if they got it first pick or something.
Well, maybe that's why they're talking about. I don't know. I don't know how you work around it. There's no perfect solution. But, like, I think teams aren't really tanking, man. Like, some teams are just straight up bad because they don't have a guy because they haven't been successful moving up in the lottery lately. So what do you expect them to do? They need a star prospect. The Wizards are a perfect example. The Jazz are a good example as well. But the Jazz drafted Keontae George. The Jazz are trying to win. They've been somewhat competitive this year. So, yeah, I don't think it's an issue. But, like, just to kind of tie up my whole rant, like, I just had somebody on Twitter tell me, like, most teams' fans would be ecstatic with the effort in this game. Like, I don't want to sit here like, oh, I should be ecstatic about this loss. I want to win. Like, I want to win. So, yeah, I understand that they gave great effort to come back in this and that, man. But
what about the lack of effort to get down by 17, though?
True.
How come no one mentions that?
True. But, yeah. Like I said, I'm tired of the discourse around this team. So, Eric got collab cammed.
The night.
Did you get collab cammed?
Yeah.
You got to. But Tori, this team is just not good. Dude, like, this team is in these games with the guys that they're down. But it's like a couple of plays are defining these games. It's not something where I'm coming in after this like, oh, look how shorthanded they are. I'm just happy they were competitive. It's like, oh, man, look how close they were to winning. If they could just clean up 1 or 2 things, they'd be winning a lot more games right now. They've been in so many close games.
Okay, yeah, to me, it almost feels like some people aren't watching the games or paying attention close enough if they have that argument, because if you watch every game, there have been very few that if Portland just executes a little better or does a couple little things or doesn't do something stupid at some point, they might win some of these games. And that's not necessarily – I just hate it like, oh, you're right there down the stretch with the Magic, could have won this game. But then it's like, oh, well, we're injured, so we weren't supposed to win this game. So what does it matter? Like, I hate that kind of argument.
And people hate that we won't just sit here and say injuries for 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. We just don't think about basketball the same way, and that's fine. But, like, the thing is with discourse, and this is important for our show, so I'll talk about it. Like, context behind statements matters. How do I want to word this? Just because we say there's turnovers that are inexcusable that need to be cleaned up, that doesn't mean that we think that not having a point guard doesn't have anything to do with the turnovers. The problem is with a lot of discourse, and we see this in our chat, we see this online, we say one thing and people assume another, even though it can be multiple things at once. I feel like a lot of sports discourses, there's one reason why we're turning the ball over so much. There's one reason why we're losing games. We're turning the ball over so much because we have no point guards, and we're losing games because we have so many injuries. And, like, it's very one-track minded, but that's not how things work. And we will break down reason A, B, C for things, but because we're talking about, all right, reason A, last game, Shaden Sharp had a couple possessions where he literally just threw the ball out of bounds. That needs to be better. I'll then see people in the chat, man, we don't have Drew. Man, we look at we have no point guards. Look at the injuries, What do you expect? It's like, I'm talking about these specific plays, okay? Just because these plays can be better doesn't mean that the lack of healthy bodies isn't affecting this team. It can be both. It can be both. The reason why we're talking about these individual plays is because the Blazers are indeed playing well enough where a couple of these individual plays a game actually affect the outcome of a win or a loss.
So I'm not trying to pick on minimal pulse here, but he says there's a huge difference between missing 2 to 3 guys and missing 7. If even just Jeremy played tonight, we'd probably win. We probably should have won anyway. We had a chance to win anyway. We could have won this game.
Up in the fourth quarter.
See, that's part of the problem is yes, we're missing 7 guys, but if you watch the game, the Blazers, it's not like the Magic played so great tonight and we were just devastating without these guys. The Blazers were right there with a chance to win this game and probably could have won this game.
Yeah. If we were healthier, we probably win this game. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't certain things the Blazers could have done better in this game to still win this game. That's what I'm talking about. It's not only one thing. And that the entire point I just made, that's a perfect comment for it. Because, yes, having Jeremy instead of Chris Murray start, Chris Murray was 5 or 6. But, having Jeremy, if Jeremy has a good game, we probably win this game. But I'm tired of playing the what if. What if we just had this guy healthy? What if we just had that guy healthy? What if so-and-so becomes a star and somebody else becomes a star? And what if? Okay, we're not even talking about basketball that's happening because we're just talking about something out in the universe, some hypothetical that we imagined. Yes, having healthier players on this team would have made it so we might have won. But there's also things that this team could be doing better, even with the roster they have out there, that would be helping them potentially win some of these games as well. And the biggest thing for me is the 3-point shooting. Last game, the Blazers gave up 22 offensive rebounds. That's not a no point guards issue. That guys collectively, as a whole, need to do a better job of boxing out and not letting Donovan Clingan have to battle amongst 3 people for defensive boards. That's very valid critiques and very valid things that they can improve upon. Just because we bring that up doesn't mean we don't think the injuries matter. And that's the stuff that's so annoying about sports discourse for me, because there's people that assume and imply a lot of stuff that's not said.
And this might be an extreme example, but Tori, did Drew Holiday play against the Orlando Magic when we played them in Orlando?
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Did Jeremy Grant play in that game?
Yeah, he did.
Did Robert Williams play in that game?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. We had pretty much, Thibault had already gotten hurt at that point, but we had Drew Holiday. So the whole point guard thing, that's out the window. But we lost by 3. Why? Because Drew Holiday lost the ball on the final play of the game, leading to them getting a shot at the buzzer. And so we had our guys, and we lost by 4 tonight. We lost by 3 when we had all those guys before. We had chances to win both games, whether we had guys or not. And I think that is the problem.
Absolutely. Shout out to Moshman 15. What's that currency, Eric? We need a currency check.
I think that's the Israeli shekel.
15 shekel donation says, wins or loss, at least we have you guys. Thanks for the content and deep dives. I'm enjoying listening in the mornings just before starting to work. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the donation. We appreciate your support. It's the only thing that keeps us going when we get frustrated with these losses is those of you who watch.
This also might not seem like a huge deal if you're watching. So into the first half, the Blazers have the ball, 20 seconds left, shot clock off. They end up getting a lob dunk to Klingon. And you say, great, right? They score 2 points. Well, the Magic go back on the other end and get an and one and get a 3-point play and end up getting an extra point before halftime. And so we it's just like little things like that. You clean that up, and yes, you still make 2 points is 2 versus 3. It's only you think it's only 1 point, but this is like another little boneheaded thing that like you have to get the last shot there. You can't get them. The whole point of doing 2-for-1s earlier in the quarter and setting yourself up to have the last shot is so you take the last shot, not so you could get a basket in that. And I understand some people will think, well, if you have an easy basket, just go take it. But in this particular situation, it cost them a basket on the other end and a foul, and that in a 4-point game, that's a huge play when you come to think about it at the end.
Yeah, they've had plenty of late clock struggles lately, whether it's free throw lines, whether it's out of bounds plays, turnovers, too many late clock issues. And you know what I said? This team kind of feels like it's in a little bit of a weird mental state. The lack of clutchness shooting free throws.
Yeah.
Even guys that knock down free throws, like Sharp gets to the line, down 2 in the final minute. The first free throw, he almost airballed that short. Like, he missed badly short. It was like a Chris Murray missed 3 type of short. It was a Blake Wesley missed jumper type of short. Like, he didn't even get it on the rim. What'd you say?
I said those guys taking strays, man.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
It was really bad miss, and it's just like, and then he makes a second, but we could have tied the game, and we didn't. Like, maybe this game goes differently if he just makes both free throws. And there's just so many times where guys are just not clutch from the free throw line. It's driving me insane. It seems like a mental thing for them where they don't make clutch free throws under pressure. Like, it seems to affect everybody. Like, this team feels like at times it's just playing with a little bit of a lack of confidence. And I think it shows up at the free throw line in clutch situations where it seems like the moment gets the better of them as of late.
Yeah. Yep. So Nika says, I think it's worth it for the easy basket. So yes, you can defend on the other end and not foul or not give up a basket. But going back to that play I was talking about, you traded an easy 2 for a 3 at the other end, so you come out -1 ahead. If you hold the ball out and don't even get a shot off, if you just run out the clock, that's a net 0. So like you cost yourself a point by doing that, and it's not always going to work out that way. Sometimes you take the easy basket, you get a stop at the other end, and it's +2. But it's it's a case where in this situation, once again, didn't we have one the other? What game was that, Tori? When we had that come up where if we just didn't even shoot the ball, oh, it was the Sharp. Who was that against? When Sharp took that shot with like 14 on the shot clock or something.
I know what you're talking about. Oh, in the final moments when we were up, the Kings game. Or are you thinking about a different game?
Oh yeah, it was the Kings game where we almost blew it. Yeah, so like we're talking about how like sometimes it's better to just not even shoot in those situations than to take a shot, even if you make it or whatever. So like, yeah, I think sometimes it's just the situational awareness isn't the greatest. And like I said, the whole point, this team obviously, and most teams do this now, where you try to set up for a 2-for-1 situation. You might take a bad shot with like 35 seconds in order to get the last shot of the quarter or the half. But if you do that and then you just rush down the court and score really fast, you're just kind of what was the point of not getting a better shot on that 2-for-1 earlier in that last minute as well? Like it's just like a ripple effect.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some bad decision making. There's just areas that they could improve upon. Like, there's areas they could be better. It's not like they played a perfect game, you know? So, hopefully they can get some healthy bodies soon because I'm tired of having these conversations. But, like, every single season, we have these conversations. Like, when is there ever a season where we don't have these conversations? There's always going to be injuries, man. There's always going to be players hurt. Yes, there's a lot right now. But at some point, you have to find a way to still win basketball games, okay? And maybe they're not at that point yet where they're not fully out of their rebuild or whatever you want to call it. They need Dame bag, whatever. Sure, like, that could be a very valid point. But at some point, they have to stop making excuses when they have some players hurt and find a way to go out and win games. Because you're always going to have injuries. Almost every team has injuries. Nobody wants to talk about the Magic missing their best offensive or defensive player, you know? They never want to point that out. It's always, oh man, we're just so hurt. What can we do? Like, we should expect to lose and be ecstatic that it's close. Like, all right, man. Hopefully this team can get good enough to where they can have a stretch where they have some guys injured and not sit here making so many excuses, acting like we should be happy because we had a close game. The thing is, they might be close to that point because they have kept things very close. They find ways to make these games competitive. That is far better than what we've seen in the past. Okay? So they are close. So a lot of these critiques, you can take it as stuff that going forward they need to build upon the rest of the season, maybe next season, etc. Some of it's roster construction. Some of it's maybe coaching related. There's probably going to be a new coach next year. Some of it's just certain players needing to improve little things within their games. It's not a bad thing that there's things that need to be improved upon. That's reality. So, anyway. I'm very ranty today, in case you can't tell. Merry Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, other players from this game, I guess. You want to?
Let's talk about Young Hansen.
All right, yeah, go ahead. Tell me what you thought about.
I thought he provided some decent minutes. I mean, it wasn't like phenomenal, but it wasn't like, oh man, this guy is killing us being on the court either. Like I thought he did a couple nice things out there, and I didn't think it was harmful to have him on the court tonight.
Play him ahead of Duop at this point, okay?
Yeah.
Like if Duop, the thing is, like Duop, I guess makes more sense next to Klingon, but if he's not making threes, which he's not right now, does he make sense in any lineup? Duop. He might be close to as bad as Young Hansen defensively. I'd rather just Young get the reps.
Yeah. Wraith is batting it.
Yeah. But yeah, like at this point, if he can come in and not hurt the team, like that's kind of where the bar is right now. Had a couple turnovers, had a couple of assists. Like when he plays 8 minutes, I don't want him to have 2 turnovers, you know.
I think the turnovers were both basically like he was trying to clear out space for a driver and he pushed someone.
Which I like the attempt, you know, but also he just seems to have no idea about like what his body is or like what his strength is or what he can do at the NBA level in terms of like screening guys off and stuff like that.
That kind of stuff's just going to take time.
Yeah, absolutely. At least he gets a block every once in a while. Yeah, that's better than Wraith. Like, Young has some really rough moments, but occasionally he can block a shot with his length, which Wraith doesn't really do.
Yeah. I thought, Caleb provided some good minutes tonight.
He made shots today.
3 for 8 or something.
He would he would be a fine bench guard if he could just consistently make shots, but I have no hope in him ever consistently making shots because after 5 years of college and then so far in his NBA career, the only consistent thing about him is just how inconsistent he is and how many games he has where he is insanely inefficient but still shooting a lot of shots, okay? It is nice once in a while when he is efficient. Like today, he was locked in, man, making defensive plays, hitting shots. He took a couple questionable shots there in the second half, I thought, including the one that he airballed. But you're always going to get that. Like, can he make some shots with those rough moments and not hurt you and provide some value? And he provided some scoring this team needed in this game. And I really liked the blocks that he had. Some of the, like, he's not slow defensively. And he tries to get after that. And I respect that. He's also listed at, 6'4"? Maybe there's hope for him being an okay defensive player. But at the end of the day, like, if he could have these types of games more consistently, I'd have no issue with them. The problem is these games are a little too rare. So it's fun when it happens. It's a fun night, but I saw somebody on Twitter say, every once in a while a blind squirrel finds a nut. That's kind of what his good games feel like. But, yeah, great performance from him today. There's a reason I put him in the thumbnail. He was good.
Yeah, and I think, he might not be the best defensive player, but he does compete on that end. He does try at least on that end. And that's, I guess, all you can ask for. And, hey, congrats on getting an assist tonight, too.
Yeah. And no turnovers.
It's a nice dump pass.
An assist and no turnovers. Yeah, that was a really good pass. Like, he'll have some moments where he throws good passes, but he's obviously a scorer. Good game from him. What'd you think of Shea?
Yeah. I mean, I guess if he makes one more shot, he's 50% shooting, but yeah, I don't know. Seemed like there were large stretches of this game where he wasn't very aggressive, and then there was some times where he was a little too aggressive, maybe. But overall, I don't know. It's kind of a normal Shea game.
Yeah, I really like how he's not, for the most part, not settling for mid-range shots, but taking them when that's the best option. Like, he's trying to get downhill. He's doing a decent job of beating defenders off the dribble right now. I think he's doing a little bit better job, like, turning the corner and getting defenders to turn their hips. And the thing is like, once Shaden can turn the corner, even if defenders turn their hips and run with him, he's so athletic finishing around the rim that they're still kind of beat. But then if there's help, since the defender is turning and kind of running with him, he's doing a really good job of, like, stopping on a dime and getting that little 12 to 15 foot mid-range pull-up right now. And this is, I feel like defenders are guarding him a little bit more tightly at the three-point line, which is making it easier for him to turn the corner. This is what I was talking about, the importance of his three-point shot, being able to get defenders to, like, press him on the perimeter because they don't want to give up a three to him, and how it will just make it easier for him to turn the corner, and it makes it easier for him to obviously get to the rim because he's being defender off the dribble more, but also it's putting his defender in positions where they're having to recover, and then when there's help and he can't get all the way to the rim, which is unfortunately too often because of lack of spacing, he's able to use that defender trying to recover against them and stop on a dime and get wide open 12 to 15 footers. So, I think his game is kind of coming together because he's been making more threes, and then he's making a ton of mid-range shots right now, and he's taking relatively good shots. He's making good decisions on when to stop on a dime and pull up and when to try and get all the way to the rim. He's reading that kind of last layer of the defense pretty well right now. I will say, he's shot a great three ball in the month of December. I think before this game was 51%. I don't think ESPN updates the months until a bit after the game, even though they have it on the game log. It's kind of confusing. But, he's like right around 50% from three. So the fact that the three ball hasn't really fallen at a good clip the last couple of games, like, all right, that's just a couple of games. Like, he's been shooting a good three ball. I can't lie, there is a small part of me like, oh no, like, oh no, hopefully this doesn't turn into a stretch where for a month he shoots like 25% from three again. I'm really hoping that the month of December is him turning the corner as a 3-point shooter where it's not going to regress back. Of course, there's still going to be slumps in that, so I'm not going to make a slump more to be more than just a slump, but there until I see a half a season or a full season sample, it's tough for me not to just see a couple games where he's 1 for 6 and 2 for 7 from three and not worry a little bit like, oh man, hopefully this isn't him getting back to the bad 3-point shooter we saw earlier this season.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we've been talking about this for some years now. Consistency with Shaden, it would be huge. And so, yeah, there's going to be some ebbs and flows and some peaks and valleys or whatever, but you got to find a way to try to do that. And I guess if you just look at his points, he's been pretty consistent. But just in terms of just maintaining that level, it's tough. And you look at, we talked about Deni kind of wearing down. It seems like maybe, Sharp hasn't been the kind of guy who hasn't really, what I try to say, like his endurance. What was that thing? When was that last year? Or was that earlier this year? We were talking about Shaden on second nights of back-to-backs and stuff like that.
I think that was last postgame show or recently.
No, there was a time where we got pretty deep into it. I don't think it was like recently, last couple weeks, but
I don't remember.
Yeah. I think Trevin actually found stats on that, or someone did, but yeah, I do wonder if that had a little bit to it, the back-to-back, which I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just wondering if that's something that's like an issue with him still or what.
I mean, if he makes one more three, he's 3 for 7 from three, and it's all of a sudden a good shooting night, right? So can't really analyze like trends off of only a couple of games. So that's just where, all right, it's going to be interesting to see, like, is this the start of a slump or is this just like a blip? Like you just had a couple rough shooting games, but it's such a small sample. It's like, okay, of course those are going to happen in the course of a season. So I think a couple weeks from now, and I feel like we have these conversations where I say, this is a really interesting time for Shaden. I'm looking forward to looking back in a couple weeks from now to see, if this is a blip or if this is a downturn, right? Unfortunately, I feel like more often than not, it's been a little bit of a downturn in years past. I'm hoping this year will be different because I do think the month of December has been his most consistent stretch of basketball by far as a 3-level scorer, because he's doing it at the rim, from the mid-range, from the 3-point line. He's also getting to the free throw line almost 5 times a game. He got to the free throw line 6 times a game last month. So if you look at his field goal percentage this month and last month, it's pretty much identical. You look at points per game. Last month he was 23. This month he's 24. But like the 3-point shot, is like he's been more efficient this month because of the 3-point shot, because he's knocking down threes, and those are obviously worth the extra point. So I really like the month that he's having in terms of his 3-level scoring. So we'll just see how the shot continues to look the rest of this month and as we get into the new year. I will say, man, like, I just want him to have games where he has more assists than turnovers. Like, I know that's kind of stat watching, box score watching, and there's always context that goes into these things, but just as at a very simple level, I would just like him to have games where he has at least equal assists and turnovers. There's been 3 games in a row where he's had more turnovers than assists now.
Yeah. Deletero points out in chat that there was that 3-point shot he obviously got fouled on.
Yeah, true.
That sucks that you can't get that call. Dame was getting that call all the time his last couple of years in Portland.
Yeah. Marv says, wow, saying a whole month with a positive context with Shea. Listen, man, I feel like I've always been relatively fair to Shea. I truly feel that way. Some people might disagree, but I try and call it like I see it with him. Like, it's never anything where I'm trying to make it out to be worse than it is or better than it is. Like, I'm not going to fanboy over him. He certainly has a lot of fans. I'm also not going to, criticize him if I don't think it's justified. So the lack of consistency stuff was very justified. Like early in the season when I was lamenting his lack of a 3-point shot and some of his shot selection, I mean, he was shooting 25% from three, that's not good. That's not good. And he statistically wasn't an efficient player on the season until recently, right? Well, now he's like 55.5 true shooting percentage. I still think that's slightly below average, but pretty close to average. That's a better mark than I think he's had any season of his career, right? So, all right, progressing in the right direction. We like that. But I'll keep this simple and not even apply this to Sharp. Like, if somebody's inefficient and averages more turnovers than assists, I think it's very fair to question if they're having a positive impact, especially if they're not like a defensive minded player as well. It's because if you're turning over the ball more than you're creating shots for others that go in, like, that's not efficient offense. And if you're not efficient yourself as a scorer, that's also not efficient offense. So, a guy could be averaging 25, 27 points per game, but if he's not efficient and he averages more turnovers than assists, like, I will question the positive impact of that player. That's not a Shea thing, that's pretty much just a general rule statistically. So there was a point in time until this recent stretch where Sharp statistically was one of those guys. So, yeah, there was some criticism from that, but that's just a general rule of things. Lately, he's been more efficient. Turnover's still a little bit rough, but, like, at least the efficiency is improving. At least he's knocking down the threes as well. So, when he's spotting up from three, like, defenders can't leave him the same way as if he's struggling and can't buy a bucket from behind the arc. Mm-hmm. So, those are the differences, and those are positive differences.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It just he's been fine lately. I don't know how else to say it. Hopefully both him and Deni are just struggling with being the only guys and having to carry such a huge workload on offense.
But also, like, I'm not going to make the roster excuse for his lack of assists when it's not an excuse for Deni. Deni this month is averaging 8 assists per game. So Mike Jones has keywords creating shots to go in. Hello, get some shooters around him. Yeah, Deni averages 8 assists and 4 turnovers this month, which I would like to see it a little bit less, but given what I talked about with the offense and how he has to drive into traffic all the time, and he leads the league in drives per game, and that's often into a packed paint, like, he's going to turn over the ball, but this offense requires him to put himself in those positions. So that's why, those turnovers, like, I can live with, because he has basically a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. So most of Deni's assists are to Clingan and Shaden. Okay, I think Shea should maybe look for Clingan a little bit more. Do you feel like Shea has good chemistry with Clingan?
I feel like it's getting a little better, but no, I felt like, especially earlier in the season, he missed him a ton on those rules.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So he can do a better job of setting up his big man, and he'd be getting more assists, and he'd be a more complete playmaker. Like, there is some work to do with the playmaking for Shea, for sure. For sure. Chris Murray did some things today, Eric. What'd you think of the things that Chris Murray did?
I mean, obviously 5 of 6 was good. 1 of 2 from 3. He was fine today.
He was efficient.
Yeah.
He made a 3. Yeah. I need to verbally complain every time he shoots a 3 so that it goes in more, because jinx, jinxes are real. Because when he shot that 3, I was like, oh. Even though it's a wide open corner 3. But did you see the stat? The bottom 10 corner 3-point shooters in the league, and Chris and Toumani are in the top 10 worst.
Yeah.
But like, why does Chris take all his threes from the corner if he sucks at shooting from the corner?
Well, he sucks at shooting everywhere. Is the problem.
I don't know. He hit that three last game from the top of the arc. Maybe he should stop taking so many corner threes and take more normal threes. I don't know, because for some guys, the not having the backboard behind the rim from the corner can kind of mess with them, especially in a stadium where it's not like a wall that's behind the sideline. It's kind of a backdrop. You kind of have the stands that are really far pushed back, like it's a depth perception thing. For some guys, I think that might affect them. When I've played, I haven't necessarily been the best corner three-point shooter. I like shooting more from top of the arc or free throw line extended, that area. I feel more comfortable. So I almost wonder if that's a thing for some guys.
I wouldn't trust his shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it anywhere, but I'd be curious to see the zones throughout his career, corner versus. The thing is, it's still a small sample size from anything not in the corner. So, Aeromancer says Keegan's 3-point percentage is also totally shot. Yeah, but Kings fans gave me crap when I said Shaden Sharp was better than him. Keegan got overpaid, man. Keegan got wildly overpaid.
Yeah.
What is he shooting? I don't even know. But like I have held steadfast in my Keegan Murray is not that good narrative. Even through the awesome rookie season he had, I still was like, they shouldn't have drafted him fourth. He doesn't have star upside. And I feel like, I don't know. He's shooting 27% from three on 5.5 attempts per game in his first 14 games. Now, that's a small sample, but last year he was a 34% shooter. The year before he was a 36% shooter. He's kind of like Sharp where he's declining every year, so maybe he'll have a stretch where he shoots a great three ball, but I mean, he's a role player. He's nothing more than a good role player. So,
yep.
Go ahead. What is it?
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway. Keegan is playing at an all-defensive team level so far this year. Okay, so he's like Toumani Camara from last year.
Yeah.
Role player. Like,
Making a lot more.
Making a lot more than Toumani is. Hopefully Toumani can get back to that.
We do tank-a-thon again tonight. Woo-hoo.
I know. Yeah. Excited for that. Klingon. I think that's the last meaningful player to talk about here. So he is 4 for 8 from the field, 8 points in 34 minutes, doesn't shoot a single three, has 14 rebounds, has 1 assist, 2 turnovers. Like, he had 5 fouls, but I mean, he played 34 minutes. Eric, he's having this stretch where he's playing more than 30 minutes a game.
34-minute games.
And he doesn't look gassed. Like, he was playing with energy at the end of this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. 4 straight games, at least 30 minutes.
Impossible.
This is kind of how it needs to be, I think, because Robert Williams, when he's healthy, gets his 16 to 18 minutes, and Klingon gets 30 to 32.
It's kind of tough. Magic aren't necessarily the best judge of this. So, like, did they not score a ton of points in the paint because of Klingon, or did they just not attack him? Or did they not attack because Klingon's in there, or like what?
I thought he had some great defensive possessions in this game.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm saying they don't really have a lot of like bangers inside or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, true. But like Wendell Carter Jr. can bring a big out of the paint. He's shooting 42% from three this year. So, he did get how many threes did he hit? Yeah, he did hit that 1 3. He was 1 for 4 from 3. So, okay, you didn't let the stretch 5 go off from 3, and you were still able to patrol the paint.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I don't know, man. He's been shooting the 3 so well, and we can't shoot. Like, him not shooting a single 3 in 34 minutes is kind of weird to me.
Yeah. Although, I mean, there were a couple times, I guess, he had a chance to and did the dribble handoff, but for the most part, I don't know. It seemed like he was more around the basket than
Yeah.
normal today. Before a shot goes up, usually when the shot goes up, he's always around the basket. But like, yeah, I did feel like today he was doing a better job of being around the hoop, and maybe we should lob it to him a little more.
Yeah, the problem is, like, the defense just collapses on everything that's dumped off to him, whether it's a lob.
Yeah.
When he plays in the dunker spot, he doesn't have enough space to do so effectively.
And on like a couple of Shea's finishes tonight, like he just doesn't have the athleticism to finish in traffic unless he can keep the ball high.
But like ideally, you have him in the dunker spot and you have a really good shooter in the weak side corner, or just really good shooters on the weak side.
That sounds fun, Tori.
Yeah, I mean, and then when Shaden Sharp beats somebody off the dribble and the guy guarding Klingon steps up to help, it's either a dump off pass to Klingon and it's a dunk, or if somebody rotates from the corner, all right, you got a good shooter in the corner, you kick it out to them and they make threes. And then if they rotate down, you kick to a, swing, catch the ball in the corner, swing it up to the wing when they X out, and now that guy has an open three and he can also make threes. Like, this offense could be simple and effective with shooters. Everything just comes back to that for me, where that's not like Rai Rupert or Chris Murray in the corner.
Yep.
Please find some shooters, Joe. I beg. I will get a crony tattoo. Just kidding. Never. But don't tell Crony that, all right? Let him believe that, because maybe he'll get a shooter, man. We need some shooters. Blazers need shooters. Hassan Whiteside, he probably doesn't pay any attention, but if he does, he's probably disgusted in our lack of shooters.
Well, maybe our draft pick in the tankathon, what seeding are we? Maybe we'll have a shooter in that.
Yeah, let's see. Braden Burries, maybe? I don't know. He's a guard, though. We need a 3 that can shoot next year. All right, take it on. Blazers are tied for 10th with Milwaukee. Imagine if this was a swap year. We'd be sitting here like, okay, we got a 23.4% chance. We're tied, but I guess it doesn't matter. We don't have to swap yet, obviously, but the Clippers won again, Eric.
Yeah.
Yay, they beat Houston.
They're figuring it out just in time to play us on Friday.
Yeah. That's the thing. If we lose that game, at least OKC's pick gets worse, if we're going to lose, at least there's a benefit. It's kind of where I'm at. Like, it would be nice to see them have a better record than Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Utah. It's kind of crazy that they don't. But they can still play their way into a play-in spot. I mean, the Blazers are only 3.5 games away from them. That's certainly going to be their goal to catch Portland. Unfortunately, Portland's also 3 games back at 8th now. Don't want to lose ground there. All right, let's simulate this and hope we get a good tankathon today. 14 is San Antonio via Atlanta. 13 is Chicago. 12 is Memphis. 11 is Milwaukee. And 10 is your Portland Trail Blazers. Look at these boring sims. We've had some boring sims so far this year. Need more chaos. At 9 is Dallas. At 8 is Utah. No chaos to be had. At 7 is OKC via the Clippers. Okay, at least that's the chaos we didn't want. Okay, so awesome. 6 is Sacramento. 5 is Indiana. At 4, we got the Washington Wizards. At 3, we have the Atlanta Hawks via the New Orleans Pelicans, who finally lost a game. At 2, we have Brooklyn, which means the number 1 overall pick goes to the Charlotte Hornets again. Was that last stream, or was that the stream before that they got the number 1 overall pick?
I don't remember. Well, we didn't. It must have been last stream because we hadn't had tankathon for 3 games.
True, yeah. So 2 nights in a row, the Hornets get the number 1 overall pick. Should we take a flyer on Jordan Hawkins? He just hasn't been particularly good enough shooter, considering that's all he does. And he's
I
guard
think we need someone
size.
who's actually proven to be a good shooter.
Yeah. Or I mean, like if is he still 2A eligible next year? Like obviously, if we
Oh,
could get him on 2A, he'll probably make it at the end of a roster. I would take him at the end of the roster over Chris Murray or Ryan Repair as
I
somebody
think he
that
would be.
can potentially shoot. You know how weird it'd feel to have somebody at the end of our roster that was like a 37% 3-point shooter?
Besides Reese. Reese can't hit a three though, so
I know, like he doesn't even feel like that type of shooter to me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
um, but like, yeah, that's the only one. But like, think about our roster spots. Like Reith, I guess he's an above average shooter. But I mean, he was 34% on his career, right? So is he an above average shooter? This year he was hot, but that's cooled off. So he's like average at best. Okay. So 15th roster spot, Dame's out for the season. 14th, you got Reed. 13th, you got Young. He's not a shooter yet. 12, you have Repair. He's not a shooter. 11, you have Chris Murray. He's not a shooter. 10, you have Blake Wesley. He's not a shooter. 9, you have Robert Williams. He's not a shooter. 8, you have Matisse Thybulle. I mean, he's average at best. Like 7, you have Scoot. He hasn't yet become above average. I'm hopeful that he can, but last year he was a little below average, so he's probably average at best. And then 6, you got Jeremy Grant. He's obviously an above average shooter. So like that's the thing. Even when healthy, like the lack of 3-point shooting is a problem no matter what. No matter what. Toumani's not an above average 3-point shooter. Klingen's not an above average 3-point shooter. Sharp's not an above average 3-point shooter yet. Hopefully he can turn the corner. Your only above average 3-point shooters are Drew Holiday, Jeremy Grant, and Deni Avdija on the entire freaking roster. Yeah, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Svi Mikhailuk would be good. Yeah, that would be good. Vic Krejci had 19 today, Eric.
Yeah, just don't
Whoops,
know
I
if I'll
clicked
have
on
to trade him
Twitter.
in the middle of a.
Clicked on Twitter. Forgot I was sharing the monitor. Anyway. Let's talk trade rumors for a second, and then we can end the stream. So the Bucks supposedly want Jeremy Grant
And Robert Williams.
and Robert Williams. Is there a trade that you think makes sense for the Blazers? What pick does Milwaukee have in 2031? Do they have their pick, Eric?
Yeah, I think so. I'll look up.
Yeah, look at.
I don't.
I'm gonna pull up the trade machine here.
I mean, they have to include Kuzma basically to make it work.
Yeah. Let me pull things up here. Hold on.
I don't think it makes sense. Because we're not. I mean, I would love for us to just pull an OKC and be like, oh, we're going to maximize our value on some of these guys. I just don't see it happening.
But if we could get if they have their 2031 and we could get that unprotected.
Yeah, I don't know if.
Whoa. Like, how. At the deadline, if this is a lost season, how can we say no to that? If it's something like Kuzma. Whoops, why did I put in the Grizzlies? Hello?
Yeah, they can trade a 2031 or a 2032.
They're desperate. Like, Jeremy Grant has been good this year, but if I don't know, man, it is kind of weird with like Dame's window. It doesn't go to 2031, so you'd need a plan to replace Grant, and that guy should not be Kyle Kuzma. Like, this is just the matching salary that has to come back. What other? They still have to trade like. What are they going to trade Bobby Portis for Robert Williams? And is this even?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously probably a third team involved or something, but
Yeah. Like Gary Harris. Yeah. So
that was Alex Wolf, by the way.
what was Alex Wolf?
He texted me as something.
Oh.
It's causing my phone to go off.
I mean, flip these guys if you can to a third team. Grant is too good to trade, man. He might be out for a month or two. Like, yeah, he's had a good start to the season, but you're saying he's too good to trade for possibly the number 1 overall pick and controlling 4 years of Milwaukee's draft capital unprotected? Like, I don't think the Blazers do this, but this is the type of trade where it's like, okay, I think you pounce on this because this is insane value for Grant and Robert Williams to be able to get. You don't like if Grant has a fall off and has another season like last year. This is the type of trade we would regret not making. If you could have an unprotected 2031 Milwaukee first, that's insane value for Grant at his price tag, and Robert Williams, who is very injury prone, and he's expiring anyway. Like, this is the type of trade I feel like you make and then follow it up with like replacing Grant's role with somebody that can do like 80% of what he does, where you maybe sign him to an MLE. You know what I mean? So you basically turn Grant into a player that's like 80% of Grant, and then you have Milwaukee's 2031 unprotected first.
I agree. I don't think the Blazers are looking at it from that point of view.
Yeah, I mean, the Blazers never look at it from our point of view ever. So, you know, is what it is. But yeah, that's an insane asset. And then if Grant backfires and the Bucks have no more assets, then you go back to Milwaukee like, hey, I know you just traded us your 2031 first round pick, but we have 4 years of your draft capital, and now Giannis wants out. Like, you want your picks back? We want Giannis. And then if it doesn't happen, fine. Like, I guarantee you one of those picks, those 4 years, is going to be like a top 6 to 8 pick. And if the Blazers use that correctly, they can draft a star. I would keep Portis, trade Kuzma. Yeah, like rest of the year, you keep Portis, and then maybe you trade him in the offseason. Since you wouldn't have a backup center behind Klingon. This trade is more so, okay, they're struggling to be in the play-in. I mean, maybe you keep Kuzma. He just doesn't shoot, and I can't stand his game. He doesn't shoot the three well. You do kind of replace the rotation spots.
He's not a good fit.
Yeah, he's not a good fit, though. So if you can trade him for somebody that fits, like, you're kind of reshuffling the chairs and making out with the unprotected Milwaukee first if possible. Like, it's hard to say no to that. But if you want to be competitive this year, you kind of need to follow it up with like a different type of move. But here's the thing, Eric, if you want to be competitive this year, get a freaking shooter.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the moves they've made have already kind of been like, yeah, they traded for Drew. I guess that was a win now move, but he hasn't been able to play for forever. But it's like, okay, if you're that serious about winning that you would turn your nose up on this type of trade, then why weren't you serious about adding more shooting to this team when it was obviously going to be a flaw? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that's how I feel. It's kind of inconsistent.
As we learned earlier in the season, AJ Green can't be traded this season. So
yeah,
for those in chat wanting him back in this trade, that's not happening.
Tori, real question: do you trust with just building around Deni? Like, is he someone you believe can carry a Blazers team? Of course, improving the role players around him. I think he can be the number one guy on a playoff team, But right now, I don't think he can be the number one guy on a contending team. Given how much he's improved, like maybe he can grow into that. But I think the case for him being a number one player on a playoff team is, I think, pretty simple right now. So far this year, he's been a number one option on the 15th ranked offense with a lot of crap around him. The 15th ranked offense, there's 16 teams that make the playoffs. So that's a playoff caliber offense. Very bottom of the playoffs, but that's a playoff caliber offense. I think he's a number one on a playoff team, but like a number one on a contending team, like a number one guy that can lead a team to a title right now, I don't think he's quite that level. I think it would be best, even if Deni reaches that level, it would be best to just go get a guy that you know can be at that level. It's fine to have two guys that could be at that level. You know what I mean? So that's why I love the idea of a Giannis trade, because he can clearly be the number one guy. And then if Deni can be your number two, I think Deni can be the number two on a contender. I think hopefully Dame can come back and be a number two type of guy on a contender, right? One of those guys, is your number two. One of your guys is your number three. I mean, basketball doesn't really work where you like slot guys in 1, 2, 3. It's just more so like best player, second best player, third best player on a team. Like, I think those guys are fine if you get a number one. So I think with the assets, they're just going to be in a position where it's like, okay, how do you go get that true number one option? And they don't become available often, which is why I think if Giannis is available, you make a move. And if Giannis isn't available, I think having an unprotected pick like this, like the trade that I just showed for Jeremy Grant, I think it would be easier to go out and make that type of trade over the next couple of years if you had an additional unprotected first from Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
This sets Portland up in a position to be able to make that type of trade. It's kind of like potentially, for competitiveness' sake right now, it might be a step back, but it's to take multiple steps forward in the future.
Yep. Just don't think that's their mindset. But
yeah. One Piece says, I doubt the Bucks would include a first-round pick in the trade. Also not listening, just casually in chat. Well,
they literally have nothing to trade. Like then,
exactly. Like then, no trade's gonna happen. Like if they're that serious about really wanting Jeremy Grant, I guess they could try and protect that pick. If it's super light protections, like maybe we'll talk about, but I'm not doing that for like a lottery protected first, just because I think Kuzma's not a piece that's easy to offload. I think. Maybe you can offload Bobby Portis, but I don't know. Grant's played well enough, and with Dame coming back and where this team is trying to go and how they've kind of, they brought on the Drew contract, they're not going to be a team with cap space, even though they could add a lot next offseason. They also signed Camara to the extension, right? So they're obviously not going the we can have cap space and try and make a splash that way route. And the cap space would be more so to make a splash via trade or like getting creative with that cap space, not necessarily free agent signing. But they're obviously not going that route. So the contract is a little bit more palatable because the opportunity cost that is costing them isn't really as legit as if they could have cap space and that's eating up a huge chunk, if that makes sense. So that's why like the change in tune from, all right, they got to trade him. Part of it was didn't know how he'd react coming off the bench. He's been fine. Part of it was he was awful last year. Okay, he's bounced back. Like that wasn't the beginning of a decline. Part
of it was we're a rebuilding team with an old guy that made no sense on our roster, but now we have Dame and Drew, and it makes a little more sense to have Jeremy still.
Exactly. Like a lot has changed since last year. And just going back to the whole discourse drives me crazy thing, like people will say like, you guys wanted to trade Grant so bad. It's like, yeah, okay, the situation's changed. Like last year, they were in a completely different situation than they were this year. Nobody knew Dame was going to come back, right? Like this wasn't like plan A. This probably wasn't a plan until Dame got cut. Nobody expected him to get cut. So, different things happen. And yeah, the situation's different now, coincidentally. So, that's, of course the calculation is going to change when the situation's different. Also, he's playing a lot better. A lot better. He was awful last year.
And the way he's playing this year, we need a shooting desperately on this team. So,
but I'm also hoping like you see the way Grant bounces back this year? Like Toumani, even if he continues struggling this season, it'll still be going into next year, like hoping he can bounce back.
Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to Sleeper. Use code Uprise. Get yourself a parlay for Christmas Day basketball. Of course, there's no games tomorrow, but we got 5 NBA games. You can put together a little Christmas parlay. And Sleeper, as a Christmas present to you, is giving you a free $20 entry when you use my code, Uprise. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100 as well if you want to put some money in and have some fun with Sleeper. Aeromancer says, Tori, accidental bar. Ain't nothing accidental about it. So make sure to check out Sleeper. Use that code. It supports the channel. Have some fun. Put together a Christmas parlay. I'll put together a Christmas parlay, and I will tweet it out. Maybe post it in my Discord. You can play along with me. So shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the post-game show. Anything else, Eric?
Just happy holidays, everyone. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. Hope everyone has a fun, safe holiday. Really appreciate all of you who have been tuning in throughout the year, and hope you all have a great couple days as we have the next couple off. Yeah, hope to see you all back on Friday, and then we'll head into the new year, and should be interesting to say the least the rest of the season, right? Got coming up at a closing in on less than a month and a half until the trade deadline. All that kind of stuff coming up. So just happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for all that you do.
Yep. Appreciate your guys' support. It means the world to us. Thank you, MGJJ. With the $5 donation, says Merry Christmas to all. Thank you for your show. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys, man. The support is awesome, and we always love those of you that show up even when things are rough. Right now things are a little bit rough. This was a rough loss. Back-to-back nights are rough losses, but you know, we're still going to bring the content. We're still going to share our thoughts no matter how anybody feels about our thoughts. And we appreciate that you guys are here to share your thoughts as well. So looking forward to the next post-game show. The Blazers will be playing on Prime. I'm looking forward to that, man. Prime's done a great job so far this year. Amazon's done a great job. And it's going to be cool to see the Blazers in that broadcast. It's just the matchup is the lowly Clippers versus the lowly Blazers, you know?
And it's a Friday night, so I don't have to worry about it. By the way, Tori,
Yeah.
I have to just mention this. So the stream ends last night. I go to bed.
Yeah.
I get about 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Wake up, get going to work. Check Twitter. It's like 4:45 ish, and I see you still arguing with people on Twitter. I've already gone to bed, woken up, gone to work, and you're still up, like arguing with people about Deni. And
yeah, that's funny. I was laying in bed. Yeah, that's the thing. My hours used to be terrible. Now I'm, work 9 to 5, but with 2 weeks off, like, all right, I will stay up a little bit, and so going to sleep late at bed, looking at Twitter, seeing ridiculous Deni stuff, and I'm clapping back. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know how you do the 3 hours of sleep thing, man. Shout out to you, for grinding through it, and then shout out to Trevor Schindler, $5 donation, says, do you boys have any interest in bringing CJ back next year? Thoughts? Thank you, Trevor, for the $5 donation. I mean, right now the Blazers will have 4 guards, so I don't see how they can add a 5th. They'll have Dame, Drew, Scoot, and Sharp. So the starting lineup conversation is going to be really interesting next year. I feel like it's going to be Dame and Sharp and Drew off the bench at this rate, the rate that it's going. If Sharp continues to play like this. But if you got Scoot and Drew off the bench, I don't know where there's room for CJ. But thank you for the donation, Trev.
Yeah, we have too many guards. I like the idea of CJ coming back at the end of his career, but unless we move one of the guards and have a spot for CJ to be like our 8th or 9th man, I don't see how it makes sense.
Yeah, or if we
They have
have
other
players,
needs.
yeah, or if it's like, okay, buyout market, he got bought out, and we have 2 guards that were out for 1 to 2 weeks. Oh wait, no, 1 to 2 months. Oh wait, no, like 4 months. Then
Oh
yeah,
no, they're not coming back this season. Then yeah,
yeah,
sure, take a flyer.
yeah, for your third guard, Um, God, hopefully they get some guys healthy, man. Does the Grant thing worry you? Do you think it's going to be like
I,
a long thing?
it would absolutely worry me if I didn't already like think that this was gonna be what happens. Like we all thought it, right?
Yeah.
We even joked about it a couple streams ago. So yeah, like I mean, this was 1,000% predictable. So when you are prepared for the inevitable, he's out for a month or longer. I don't. It didn't surprise me. No.
Yeah. Spiller said Grant is day to day. I don't trust this organization, man. Drew was day to day. Back
Yeah.
before Thanksgiving, before I went to freaking San Francisco. By the way, the plan, the goal, I might not achieve this, but I want to try and drop my road trip vlog on Christmas. I think that would be pretty cool. If not, then after Christmas, like before the new year. Excited to put that out. There's a lot of just like random clips exploring California and stuff like that. So, been looking forward to dropping that. It's always going to be fun for me to kind of look back on that trip. That's like my first legit California road trip ever. So, get to hear me going crazy about Caleb Love hitting shots against Golden State, and Caleb Love hit shots tonight, shots in, and Blazers still lose. But yeah, for any questions about injuries, guys, like we have no idea. When's Holiday going to be back? The organization was putting him as questionable, and then he's been out 6 weeks. So, like, does the organization even know? I don't even think the organization knows. I'm sure they have more information and more of an idea than we do, but, like, they obviously keep that private, and they're not transparent about it in any way, shape, or form. So, unfortunately, we don't get to know. And listen, like, there was a particular radio guy that I was told was going off on fans for wanting to know this info, which is just insane to me. I think it's very valid for fans to want to know when their players are going to be available. And then when they hear 1 to 2 weeks, and then he'll be reevaluated, and then we don't hear anything for 5 weeks, it's understandable for fans to be frustrated with the lack of an update and the seemingly misleading timeline. You are fully justified in being frustrated about that and wanting to know more. And anybody that tries to tell you otherwise, I think it says more about them trying to speak down on fans than you, the fan, who just wants to know what's going on with your favorite team.
Also, so Jeremy was questionable the last 2 games prior to this one, right? And then, a couple hours before the game last night, he switched to doubtful, and obviously doesn't play. It does worry me when 36 hours ago he's questionable to play, and then all of a sudden the injury report comes out last night for tonight and he's out. Like, what changed between the injury report coming out Sunday for Monday's game and between now and Tuesday, and then the wording of his injury changes a little bit. He could very well be day to day, could be fine, but yeah, I don't know. It's tricky with Achilles. It's tricky with hamstrings. It's tricky with calves. It's so we have those three, like the worst three probably injuries in terms of trying to like manage them or figure out timelines and stuff like that. So it's not 100% on the Blazers, but I don't know. I just whenever I see someone be questionable for 2 games and then is just listed as out without even being questionable the next game, something either happened between now and then, or he has always been a little more hurt, or it's been worse than they were letting on, and that just goes back to the transparency thing. I don't believe that they're fully upfront with some of those injury reports.
Yeah. There's a great comment from Colonel Pancakes that says, LOL, criticizing paying fans for questioning the product they pay into. Yeah, the fans are the ones that pay these guys' salaries, man. The fans are the ones showing up for games. They should get, I think, a level of transparency about what players are going to be able to show up to those games. and when they'll be able to show up to these games. And if you don't know, say you don't know. Don't say 1 to 2 weeks. We'll reevaluate then. Like, you're basically implying, all right, 1 to 2 weeks, and we'll let you know. And then we don't hear anything for 5 weeks. And it was actually an indefinite timeline, not a 1 to 2 week anything. Like, so yeah, it's very frustrating. The Blazers have to get better. Hopefully, under Tom Dundon, they will be better. But that is very valid criticism. There's just people out there that will carry the water for this organization, no matter what, even when it comes to something as silly as that. So that's just the way it is, I guess. But appreciate those of you who actually care to know when your players are gonna be available. Hopefully, we get some of them available soon, but I know a lot of you come in and ask questions about when certain guys are going to be available, and if we know when somebody's going to be back, we have absolutely no idea because we're essentially just fans, and we know what you guys know, and this organization is not transparent, unfortunately, so wish I could answer those questions. Unfortunately, I can't. Anyway, anything else, Eric?
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for watching. Have a great couple days. Yep.
Have a great holidays. Looking forward to catching back up with you guys on Thursday. The Blazers lose. Now 12-18 on the year. This game was kind of a bit of a carbon copy as last game. Hopefully on the 26th, hopefully they don't end up down 17 to 21 points. And then if they do and they come back and lead by 1, hopefully they can build that lead instead of just, oh, hey, we came back, we're up 1, now we're going to lose. Because that's what it was the last couple nights. So, shout out to Caleb Love. Shout out to Shaden Sharp, who had a solid game. Deni, hopefully he shoots a little bit better. Shout out to Chris Murray. He actually did some positive things today. We're going to need more of that on Thursday. Shout out to Sleeper. Use that promo code Uprise. Put together yourself a Friday? Oh, Christmas is Thursday. Friday. We'll catch you guys on Friday. I don't know my days anymore. Yeah. Friday, maybe we'll finally do the shot night that we've been talking about doing, because the day after Christmas is the day to drink. It's a Friday for Eric. Maybe we'll do that. We'll see. You got to tune in.
I'll be doing it whether it's part of the stream or not on New Year's Eve.
True, yeah. We can have two shot nights. Yeah, New Year's Eve. That's kind of fitting. We'll do some New Year's resolutions for the Blazers. We'll do some fun stuff like we did last year. In the last stream of 2024. So still got some fun, good content, win or loss coming up for you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Leave a like on the way out here. Use promo code Uprise on Sleeper. Put together yourself a little Christmas parlay. And we're out of here. We'll catch you next time. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.